of Art History and Archaeology. Some of you may not personally know Teresa, who began in 2007 as an administrative assistant before being appointed our Director of Finance in 2018. But trust me, you definitely know her work. Teresa leads us through UMD's financial and HR thickets humanely and sustainably. Her deep understanding of what we can do and how we can do it has provided every one of us with crucial opportunities, from routine fun stuff like study trips and art projects in classrooms, to the kind of clutch decision-making that supports our faculty, staff, and students in more difficult times. Like you, Teresa is a graduate of UMD, having earned her bachelor's in family science. She's also a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 6.5. Teresa is here today with her husband, Michael. I want to thank him for his support of her work, as well as for providing her with some of her funniest family stories. I know that I'm joined by the entire department in thanking Teresa for her kindness, thoughtfulness, and integrity. Please join in congratulating Teresa. We hope you have a fantastic retirement. I look out today with great pride at our wonderful community of TERP art historians and archaeologists, a proud group that our graduates now officially join as lifelong members. As a community, we wholeheartedly celebrate and support one another's success, secure in the knowledge that we have so much in common: a love of learning, a fascination with the world, an appreciation of what human beings can and do create, and an understanding of the power of art. As art historians and archaeologists, we understand culture as a vital site of thought, of debate, and of necessary complexity. One of the joys of studying art history here at the University of Maryland is that we have ample opportunities to see culture in action. We can go to exhibitions or monuments, not just once, but over and over again. This is a huge privilege, one that lets us recognize when and why particular works of art succeed, which begins with the ones that simply stick in our minds. Can I have this slide? One work I have returned to repeatedly this year is this 2020 sculpture by American conceptual artist Sanford Biggers. Carved from a smooth white marble that you just know is cool to the touch, this sculpture brings into being a hybrid and yet still cohesive body. From one angle, the sculpture matches the human scale and attentive realism associated with Greco-Roman sculpture and its periodic revival across the Western tradition. As you walk around the sculpture, however, the body thickens as it adopts a stylized and recognizably African ideal human form. This is a very art historical sculpture. A little digging tells us that its design was made by combining and rescaling 3D scans of Roman and Fang, or Central African, reliquary sculptures. Neat, right? So why has this work stuck with me? And why do I think it should or could stick with you as part of the art community? This sculpture not only shows us the human capacity for difference, as represented by the contrast between Roman and African sculptural traditions. It also demands that we sustain different ways of seeing and balance different modes of being, histories, cultures, and ideas as we look. And, we find that we can do that. We don't have to demand simplicity or uniformity. But we can rather recognize the beauty of, and also our collective interest in, keeping conflicting ideals simultaneously in mind. And we might even agree that it's worth carving that sense of complexity into the most enduring medium we can possibly imagine: stone. And so, as part of our celebration today, let's acknowledge that our graduates will emerge into a complicated world, That world will definitely demand that they hold onto and process conflicting ideas, values, and ways of being. As Terp art historians and archaeologists, they have plenty of practice embracing complexity. We know that you are all very well prepared to grapple with what lies ahead. Congratulations, class of 2025, on assuming your new role as alumni of the University of Maryland Art History and Archaeology program. You join a vibrant and active community. Feel free to call upon us as you go out into the world. We can't wait to see what you do. Congratulations. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce to you Lila Messinger, who will deliver this year's baccalaureate address. Please, Lila.
Good morning, esteemed faculty, proud family members, and fellow graduates. As art history and archaeology majors and minors, we've spent the last several years learning to see the world differently, not just through timelines and movements, but through different media, symbols, diverse perspectives, and the power of human expression. Today, we find ourselves at the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, standing at the intersection of past and future, where tradition meets transformation. My experience in this department has been nothing short of extraordinary. From 2023 to 2024, I had the incredible opportunity to conserve and analyze a rare 2,500-year-old Etruscan vase called the Cairene Hydria, as part of an internship with our very own Michelle Smith Collaboratory for Visual Culture. This single object didn't just solidify my aspirations to become a conservator. It also changed how I approach critical thinking, how I solve problems, and how I encourage creativity. All stages of the Hydria reconstruction necessitated an open mind, constantly adapting to new ideas, alternative interpretations, and evolving procedures. From sorting ceramic sherds and testing conservation techniques to interpreting iconography, I learned firsthand what it means to engage with the interdisciplinary nature of art history and archaeology. It is a puzzle that is constantly shifting, prompting us to ask the better questions. Was the animal a donkey or a deer? Was the figure a shepherd, a hunter, or a hero? And when a conservation method failed, what alternative methodologies could I turn to try instead? Conservation is, for me, the embodiment of a multifaceted field, challenging me to engage with what is often considered paradoxical, the intersection of art and science. I felt the tension of these two seemingly opposing fields when I first came to the University of Maryland. Like many of you, I had no idea what my future would look like. Maybe some of us were certain of our paths, while others, like me, felt torn between different fields and passions. I loved the humanities, but I also had an interest in science, and I wasn't sure how to reconcile the two. People think science and art are a paradox, but the way I see it, the best scientists are creative, and the best artists are experimental. In joining the Department of Art History and Archaeology, I found a place where these two disciplines could coexist and enhance one another. I began observing that the best students, the best researchers, the best people and communities are those who exist in the paradoxical. They are humble, but aim high and are ambitious. They are independent, but work collaboratively as a community. They are rooted in facts and logic, but accept intuition, emotions, and spirituality. That balance, this nuance, is a strength. It turns out that these contradictions, the push and pull of ideas, beliefs, identities, feelings, and perspectives aren't to be feared. They are to be embraced. They stretch our minds and our potentials. They reach past the simple answer and engage problems without being held back by assumptions, to see the richness and complexities. And this, at its core, is what it means to study art history and archaeology. As an aspiring archaeological conservator interested in the ancient world, I would be remiss if I didn't quote Plato at least once during my speech. So, in his own struggle with paradoxical thinking, he says, quote, "I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing," end quote. By engaging with the paradox of knowing and not knowing, Plato's experiences taught him that his knowledge of life is incomplete, and yet he continued to learn, knowing that there were always more questions than answers. It is a mindset of curiosity that keeps us thinking, researching, and growing even when the finish line remains elusive. Creativity thrives in paradox, between image and identity, icon and ideology, past and present. When we don't settle for the easy answers, when we don't set a cap on our ways of knowing, that is when the greatest results are achieved. It is those who entertain paradoxes and sit in productive discomfort who leave their unique mark on the world. Our incredible art history and archaeology professors have taught us to look beneath the surface meaning, to actively seek new perspectives, new collaborations, and to keep pushing our ideas forward. And that is what makes this field and this department so exceptional. Now it is our turn to take that encouragement and continue our exploration and discourse, to be uncomfortable with groupthink, but open to consensus, to both accept and challenge fact and feeling, and above all, embrace a paradoxical way of thinking. The world, now more than ever, needs bold thinkers, thinkers who can hold opposing ideas in their minds, who ask the next question, and who are willing to walk through the discomfort of ambiguity. As we step out of the lecture halls, let's continue to be students of life. We will certainly face new complexities and challenges, but I believe that if we live with tension, if we embrace paradox, if we lean into that mindset, we will reach new heights of exploration, creativity, and originality. We are not just historians of art and archaeology. We are storytellers, thinkers, curators of meaning for those around us. If art history has taught us anything, it is that the world is not black and white. It is not even gray. It is full of color. And while the path ahead might not come with a neat label like classical or postmodernism, I know that we are ready to define it for ourselves. As we in this graduating class step out into the larger world, let's be bold enough to embrace the paradox. Let's embrace the complexities of life not as obstacles, but as doors to innovation. Individually and together, let us strive to turn our words into actions and our dreams into reality. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2025.
What can you say after that speech? It was so wonderful, Lila. Thank you so much. And I hope you understand what a great reward it is for us who teach in this department to have students like this. All of them have shown themselves to be committed, interested, curious, willing to accept those complexities, ambiguities, and paradoxes, and deal with what lies ahead with critical thinking, open minds, and again, I'm going to say that endless curiosity. And thank you all for being the students you have been. It has been wonderful to have you in our classes, and it's great to have this opportunity to welcome you now to the stage to get your diplomas and to wish you all the best as you venture forward. So, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Aneta Georgievska-Shine. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies. I was too impressed by both speeches, our chair and Lila, to think about formal introduction. But it's a great, great pleasure to now be able to acknowledge some of the special accomplishments of our graduating students. And I'm going to begin by announcing the Judith K. Reed Commencement Award. This endowed award is named in honor of Mrs. Judith K. Reed, a former student of the department. It was established by Leonard Reed in 1985 to honor his wife. The award is given annually and recognizes the outstanding accomplishment of a graduating senior. And this year, we are pleased to recognize Lila Messinger. So please come back. The Judith K. Reed Scholarship Award is the second endowed award named in honor of Mrs. Judith K. Reed to offer financial support for a talented rising senior studying art history at the University of Maryland. This year, we are pleased to recognize two students, Hannah Lerburn and Trinity Tatum. So please, Trinity, come to the stage. Mark H. Sandler Undergraduate Award. This is an award given in honor of the late Professor Mark Sandler, who was widely known for his excellence in teaching. It particularly honors his indelible and formative roles as teacher and mentor to undergraduates in this department. This year, we are pleased to have made awards to two students from our department who may or may not be here with us today. Derek, both of them are not here, but I would like to recognize them because they're doing very exciting projects. Derek D'Agostino and Jamison Hickroth. Unfortunately, they could not join us today because they are already in the field doing archaeological work. George Levitin Book Award is another endowed award named for the former chair of the Department of Art History and Archaeology at the University of Maryland, a distinguished scholar under whose leadership the department grew and flourished. Each year, the award is given to a graduating senior in recognition of their fine scholarship. Unfortunately, the young woman, Jane Zhu, who is the recipient of the award, is not feeling well today. She just sent me a note an hour ago, but we wish to recognize her nonetheless for her excellent work. Frank Di Federico Book Award is an endowed award named for a beloved former professor who taught both Baroque and modern topics. The award is given annually and honors a graduating senior's outstanding scholarship and service to the undergraduate community. And this year, we are pleased to recognize Bridget McKelvey. Bridget, please come to the stage.
Your award is heavy.
Thank you.
No, actually I don't. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua Shannon. I am Director of Graduate Studies and Professor of Contemporary North American and Western European Art here in the department. And one of my pleasures every year is that I get to announce two awards for our graduate students. Our graduate students are an amazingly important part of this community, the crucial glue between faculty and staff and our undergraduate students. They keep the lifeblood of the department flowing with the activities that they plan and the community that they build. And of course, they play the crucial role of not only serving in the collaboratory, which you've just heard a little bit about, but also doing a lot of important tasks of teaching our undergraduates. And so we have one award that we give each year to honor an especially good teacher, and one to honor someone who's done special work to promote the community. And it's always hard in faculty meeting to make these decisions because so many of our graduate students are excellent in both roles, but we did manage to decide this year on one student to be honored for each. The first is the Mark Sandler Award, and you heard a little bit about him a moment ago from Annetta, a remarkable teacher in our department years ago. This award is dedicated to his memory as an expert teacher, assistant professor of Japanese art history. And it recognizes a student who's done especially outstanding work through commitment and dedication to teaching our undergraduates. And this year we are delighted to recognize Filippo Grassi. The second of the two awards, as I mentioned, is a community award. This one is named for Kathy Canavan, who 20 years ago was the coordinator of graduate studies, a key staff position in our department that kind of keeps the graduate student the graduate program running, both kind of technically, but also in terms of its community and spirit. And this recognizes Kathy's commitment to that, the love and the joy and the community glue of the program. And we're really delighted this year to recognize a student who, for years as a graduate student here, has really gone above and beyond in committing herself to the work of this department and to the community, and that is Ashley Cope. Okay, I think I'm going to sit down for a little while. Yeah.
So, now we come to the most important part of today's ceremonial. So will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Art History and Archaeology please rise and be recognized? And please step up to the stage as I say your name. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, the first person I'm going to call is Claudia Patricia Aguilon Rivas. Please come to the stage, Claudia. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology with departmental honors, please welcome Amy Ray Christopherson. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, please welcome to the stage Jordan Dalia Glusman. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology and summa cum laude and with departmental honors, please welcome to the stage Stephanie Marie Korth. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, please welcome to the stage Bridget Claire McKelvey. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, magna cum laude and with departmental honors, please welcome back Lila Marjorie Messinger. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, please welcome to the stage Naima Palmer. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, cum laude, please welcome to the stage Sophia Claire Rubin. Graduating with a degree, sorry. Thank you. And graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Art History and Archaeology, please welcome our lovely Cristel Mea Merafuentes Torbeso. There were a couple of other graduates who could not be here with us, but we all wish them warmest congratulations as well. Thank you.
Would the candidate for the degree of Master of Arts in Art History and Archaeology please rise and be recognized? Stand right there for 1 second. Perfect. So we've moved to the graduate part of this, obviously, and so it's the scale of this is even a little smaller. We have one student graduating with a Master of Arts right now, and I will announce her degree, and then you'll hear a word about her from her advisor, Emily Egan, and we'll do the same thing with students getting their PhDs. You'll hear a little bit about their work. So, graduating with the degree of Master of Arts in Art History and Archaeology, Georgia Kearns, with a thesis chaired by Professor Emily Egan entitled The Communalization of Trauma Through the Visual Arts, Images of War in Greece and Etruria in the 6th and 5th centuries BCE. Congratulations, Georgia. Yeah, come on up. Yeah. So now you have to stand here and be patient while Emily talks.
To listen to me talk. Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Egan, and I am Professor of Ancient Eastern Mediterranean Art and Archaeology here in the department. It is my great pleasure today to introduce and celebrate the accomplishments of my advisee, Georgia Kearns, who's receiving a master's degree in art history and archaeology with an emphasis on ancient Greek art. Georgia came to Maryland in the fall of 2023 from Towson University, where she had recently completed a Bachelor of Science in the dual fields of art history and psychology. It was this rich and diverse training, combined with her firsthand experience as a student studying ancient Greek funerary customs at the American School of Classical Studies at Athens, that led to her interest in scenes of war in Greek art, scenes that she mined for deeper meaning in her master's thesis, The Communalization of Trauma Through the Visual Arts, Images of War in Greece and Etruria in the 6th and 5th centuries BCE. In her thesis, Georgia employs recent research on the cathartic power of dramatic performances of ancient Greek military narratives to query the function of the same narratives in the visual arts. Analyzing scenes of fallen warriors being removed from the battlefield, Georgia argues persuasively that such images were powerful healing devices, enabling Greek veterans and their families to process the traumas of war by providing them with substitutions for reality, opportunities for tombside conversations, and lasting tokens of memory. While at Maryland, Georgia has also been an active member of our department's Graduate Art History Association, GAHA, taking a leading role in this year's undergraduate symposium and contributing to the inaugural issue of a catalog, just published last week, produced jointly by members of GAHA and MFA students in Maryland's Department of Art. She has also, during the past 2 years she has been with us, continuously engaged her passion for museum work, assisting visitors at the Walters Art Museum and producing online content for the Hellenic Heritage Museum of Maryland, both in Baltimore. This fall, Georgia will deepen her relationship with her hometown even further when she begins the next stage of her academic journey as a PhD student in the Art History Department at Johns Hopkins University. It's not an exaggeration to say how very proud I am of you, Georgia. I'm going to get a little weepy. And I greatly look forward to seeing what you accomplish next. Congratulations.
I am interrupting the flow of degree granting to instead present a brief encomium to another departing member of our community, and this is Anthony Colantuono. Anthony, you may want to stand somewhere where you can see the slides in this presentation. And if any of them are too humiliating, you can just let Quint know and he'll hastily forward. Okay, now, keep it there. As we bid arrivederci to Anthony Colantuono, a long and distinguished member of this department, we ask ourselves, what do we really know about him? He is, after all, from New Jersey. And what could be more suspicious than that? Tony made his first foray outside of his natal state when he crossed the Delaware River to attend Johns Hopkins. And you can see the little arrow there showing you where he was, in the company of George Washington and other brave souls making their way through icy waters. At Hopkins, he worked with Charles Dempsey because he was a brave person. And he wrote a study of French painter Nicolas Poussin. Like Poussin, though, his true love was Italy. And fortunately, the American Academy in Rome and the Villa Itati enabled him to spend quality time there. Then Tony left Rome, left even Baltimore and New Jersey behind him, and journeyed into the wilderness. We see him here, immortalized by George Caleb Bingham, leading a group of hearty settlers away from the Atlantic and into what we term the Midwest. 4 long years were spent in places where the footsteps of great geniuses like himself had rarely trodden. And then a great miracle occurred. He was called back to civilization by the University of Maryland at College Park. Here he is, August 1990, his very first day at a job that was truly made for him, and he was truly made for this job. How lucky we were to land this bundle of erudition and excellent dress sense. Nothing about him has changed at all in nearly 35 years at the department. Oh well, he ruined my punchline with that. Once Tony had found a compatible academic home, books and articles started rolling off the presses. Guido Reni, Titian, sculpture, articles on Caravaggio, Giorgione, and one whose title may not be safe for all audiences, but let's just say that it concerns phallic birds. And also, there were many things published on iconology and on art theory, subjects about which he has instructed generations of eager students at this university. Next. Many students and colleagues are overwhelmed by the depth of his knowledge and cannot understand how he can possibly know so much. Quint and I wish to advance here the hypothesis that he was actually present at the creation of some of these works, and that his most famous discoveries are eyewitness accounts. There really is no other explanation. And indeed, Titian's famous painting here blatantly confirms our theory. It also suggests that he has power over snakes. Why are we not surprised? As his fame spread, more and more smart students applied to work with him. Some recent ones are here today, but older ones also responded to my request for memories and photos and spoke of him in glowing terms. The words dizzying erudition were used. Several marveled at how he managed to publish so much in spite of being a rather slow typist. Encyclopedic memory and mastery of history and bibliography were noted. Next. No, wait, we missed one. Oh, you didn't get my new PowerPoint. There should be a slide in here of Adam Rudolphi receiving his PhD with Tony. His students were very fortunate to be mentored by him, and boy, do they know it. His humor, even in seminars and even on the syllabus, his irreverence, and as well as his scholarly perspicacity and flexibility kept them going and defined great experiences for them. And you would see that picture here. But finally, here he is, man of mystery. We all know that he is a funny guy, but who among us has heard him sing? I have not. And I feel cheated. The talking to himself is another theme in people's memories of him, and I completely understand that, because if you have a lot of ideas, as he does, it helps to articulate them to whoever is around, even if it's only you. What I really want to know, though, is what is this secret non-art historical publishing life? What is the pseudonym under which Tony publishes? Is he the person behind the mysterious Elena Ferrante? That's what I think. Or perhaps Robert Galbraith is not really J.K. Rowling, but Tony. Yeah, we have our suspicions. A shady character indeed, but one we feel fortunate to have had among us for many years. Tony. All right, and so now I introduce you?
No, Anthony.
Oh, I do? It says that I announce Charlene.
Yeah, Charlotte.
But, okay. Hi, Charlene. I was going to give your degree to Joshua instead, but he already had one, and so I am going to introduce Charlene. Graduating with the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Art History and Archaeology, Charlene Fournier-Petit with a dissertation entitled The Art of Invention, Antonio Canova's Bozzetti, and chaired, need I say, by the man of mystery, Dr. Colantuono.
What can I say after that one? It is an honor to introduce Dr. Charline Fournier-Petit, currently, and please step up, because I think it's time, eh? Yes. Come on up. She is currently lecturer in medieval and Renaissance sculpture at the École du Louvre in Paris. Charline came to the University of Maryland in 2019, having previously earned a bachelor's degree in law at the University of the Sorbonne in Paris, and a second bachelor's from the École du Louvre, the educational arm of the Musée du Louvre, as well as a graduate degree from the Master of Arts program in the Humanities at the University of Chicago. With extensive experience in both museum research projects and in the auction houses of Paris, Charline has developed an extraordinary command of the history of sculpture. And I think we can move to my next slide. Her PhD dissertation, titled The Art of Invention, Antonio Canova's Bozzetti, concerns the later 18th and early 19th century Italian neoclassical sculptor, Antonio Canova, specifically Canova's use of small sculptural sketches in terracotta and wax, known in Italian as bozzetti, as part of his creative process. And my next slide, as you can see here on the screen. Charline addresses several important questions. How did these rough sketches, created in soft materials and often bearing tool marks and even the artist's fingerprints, serve Canova in the creation of the stunningly designed and exquisitely polished marble sculptures, his final products? Were Canova's bozzetti seen as having artistic merit in their own right, in the artist's own time? And how does the rough, tactile quality of the bozzetti relate to new developments in aesthetic philosophy unfolding across later 18th century Europe? And how should we today understand the bozzetti the bozzetti as a step in the direction of modernistic spontaneity, as some scholars have seemed to suggest? Through meticulous research in archival and manuscript sources, and in the histories of art criticism and aesthetic philosophy, and also through a close scrutiny of the objects themselves, Charline has set forth a new vision of the bozzetti, not as spontaneous expressions of the artist's genius, but rather as reasoned interpretations of his classical subjects, thoughtfully elaborated in the process of arriving at an ideal final form. In the end, Charline concludes that, in proper historical perspective, the bozzetti do indeed deserve to be understood as important works of art in their own right, a critical intervention that will likely change the way that they are presented to the public in museums around the world. It is my privilege to bestow the doctoral hood upon Charline Fournier-Petit. Thank you.
Our next graduate student receiving a PhD this morning will come up now. Graduating with the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Art History and Archaeology, Marco Polo Juarez Cruz, with a dissertation advised by Professor Abigail McEwen, entitled Roots and Networks of Mexican Abstraction Across the Americas, 1958 to 1970. Come up, Marco Polo. What would normally happen now is that I would turn over the podium to Marco Polo's advisor, Professor Abigail McEwen, but she has had a touch of cold recently and has lost her voice. And so I will be reading Professor McEwen's words about Marco Polo. And while I don't They're not written by me, and I don't know them as nearly as intimately as Professor McEwen does. These are heartfelt from me and from the whole department. It is with great pride and pleasure that I introduce Marco Polo Juarez Cruz this morning as a doctoral candidate and specialist in the field of modern and contemporary Latin American art history. Marco Polo is an exceptionally promising scholar-teacher with broad expertise across the hemispheric Americas, as well as a gifted curator and innovative digital art historian. This spring, he defended a groundbreaking dissertation on the history and mobility of Mexican art in the 1960s, titled Roots and Networks of Mexican Abstraction Across the Americas, 1958 to 1970. Trained first as an architect, Marco Polo completed his MA at UNAM in Mexico City with a thesis on the painter Gilberto Aceves Navarro. He then made the unconventional, but dare I say brilliant decision to study Mexican art in the United States. And he arrived in College Park in fall of 2019. He soon distinguished himself not only as a keen student of global modernism, but also as a sought-after teaching assistant and as a leader overall within our department, and not just in our department, but also in the Latin American and Caribbean Studies Center, LASC. Marco Polo received the Mark Sandler Award, that's our teaching award, which was offered today also to Filippo Grassi, just last year in recognition of his excellence as a teacher, and the Kathy Canavan Award in 2022, which just was received by Ashley Cope as well. He was president of the Graduate Art History Association here in the department, and and he served on our DEI task force and also had key participation in the mentorship program run by LACS. He's consistently brought his gift for community building to the department as well as to LACS, where he has been active in organizing conferences and writing groups. Here in our Michelle Smith Collaboratory, the department's hub for digital art history, he has conducted advanced work in 3D imaging, network analysis, and mapping that both relate to his own research and carry wide implications for our field as a whole. As a curator, Marco Polo established his bona fides in Mexico, notably through his work as head of the exhibitions department at the Museo Nacional de Culturas Populares in Mexico City from 2015 to 2019. And he's continued to gain experience and accolades here. He organized a virtual exhibition, The Paper Makers, works on paper from the AMA's collection for the Art Museum of the Americas. And he returned the following year in 2021 during his appointment as a University of Maryland Museum Fellow. This is a program where our graduate students can do curatorial work in nearby museums. To curate an exhibition of work by Mexican women called Women in All Their Diversity, which received a rave review from the Washington Post. He went on to curate also an exhibition called Recast, Sculptural Works from the Art Museum of the Americas here on campus, and he assisted in the retrospective Maria Luisa Pacheco, Geographies of Abstraction, Madrid, La Paz, New York, in 2023. In his dissertation, Marco Polo considers the hemispheric impulses and patterns that define modernity aside from Cold War doctrine, formalist aesthetics, and the hegemony of the New York School. His global approach, not beholden to nationalist ideologies, holds great promise for our field and for Latin American art in particular. It offers a revisionist history of race, regionalism, and representation. The dissertation reassesses key figures from Mexico's post-war avant-garde, from their sometimes fraught relationship with the muralist tradition, which is more well known, to their ambitious exhibitions at world fairs, notably in Osaka, which you see now on the screen. The dissertation probes at the very identity of Mexican art itself. Marco Polo illuminates long overlooked connections between artists in Mexico and South America, for example, which illustrate the mobility and ideological valence of abstraction. His project revisits the Ruptura generation, Lilia Carrillo, Manuel Felgueres, Fernando Garcia Ponce, But it does so critically in a transnational context, positioning its history beyond Mexican and North American borders. Marco Polo has presented papers in major national and international venues from Ecuador to England that address and expand upon this research. Without question, he stands at the forefront of the rising generation of scholars in the field. Marco Polo is an exemplary young scholar, generous and hardworking, with a bright and creative mind. It has been a privilege to advise him through the very successful completion of his doctoral degree. I'm delighted to announce that he will take up a new position as tenure-track assistant professor of Latin American art at California Polytechnic State University, Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo, this coming September. Congratulations, Marco Polo. Abby lost her voice, but not her arms, so she'll be hooding Marco Polo. We have one more PhD student, that is to say, Doctor of Philosophy, to recognize this morning. Graduating with a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Art History and Archaeology, Viana Newman Dennis, with a dissertation chaired by Professor Anthony Colantuono, entitled Invention and Sentiment in the Landscape Paintings of Claude Lorrain and Nicolas Poussin. Please come up and be recognized, Viana.
I guess you know who I am already. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Viana Newman Dennis. Currently lecturer in Art and Visual Culture in the Department of Art and Visual Culture, College of Design, Iowa State University, Viana has long been devoted to scholarship in art, literature, and the humanities. In 2015, she completed a dual BA at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, summa cum laude, with major fields in Italian language and literature and Rome and the Renaissance, and minors in art history and nonprofit management. She then entered the graduate program in art history and archaeology at the University of Maryland, building upon her already extensive museum experience with 2 highly productive internships at the Department of Sculpture at the National Gallery of Art. She completed the MA with a thesis titled Perception, Space, Movement, Illusionistic Ceilings in 17th Century Rome. And today we are here to acknowledge her successful completion of the doctoral degree with a dissertation titled Invention and Sentiment in the Landscape Paintings of Claude Lorrain and Nicolas Poussin. And my next slide. Prossimo. There we go. Okay. Viana's dissertation is an outstanding contribution to the scholarship on 2 major figures in 17th century painting, both born in France and both building their careers in Rome. Nicolas Poussin and Claude Lorrain met early in their careers in Rome, remained friends throughout their lives, sketching together in the Roman countryside, each being an active member of the Accademia di San Luca, the Artists' Academy in Rome, and each elaborating a unique and historically consequential interpretation of the landscape genre. And next slide. Viana's inquiry addresses an important series of questions never previously explored in the scholarship. What sources, processes, modes of clientage, and themes did these 2 closely connected artists share? And how can we compare and differentiate their individual artistic enterprises? In a remarkably rigorous and penetrating analysis, Viana has now shown that both artists, particularly from the 1640s onwards, were drawing inspiration from the literary movement known as Marinismo or Seicentismo, a stylistic tendency in literature characterized by a pervasive lyricism of expression of human sentiment, expressed in painting through figural gesture and expression, compositional devices, and subtle effects of light and color. This same tendency also featured in the elaboration of complex, often abstruse literary metaphors, analogous to the artist's use of symbolic conceits. In effect, Viana has shown not only that these 2 artists have much more in common than previously believed, but also that Claude was engaged with some of the same highly sophisticated intellectual issues heretofore believed to be the unique province of Poussin. It is therefore a privilege to bestow the doctoral hood upon Viana Newman-Dennis.
So I'll stop you from clapping just to ask you to do it again. Can you please join me in congratulating the graduates of class of 2025? We would like to continue the celebration with a reception that comes with goodie bags for the graduates, I say looking at you, in the atrium of the Perrin J. Mitchell Art Sociology building. It's going to start in just a few minutes. So please, if you don't know where that is, follow your graduate or one of us. We're the ones wearing the robes. Anyway, thank you very much and see you soon.
Too bad because it was Tony, Adam, Marjorie, and Mary. Very sweet picture. Very sweet picture. Yeah, well, I think Dana's going to jump in. Okay. Isn't she? I don't know. We'll see in a second. travels back.